So let's put 10 minutes into perspective for you. Super Bowl commercial time. How many watch the Super Bowl? All right. 60-second commercial sold for $6.5 million. Times that by 20, that means a 10-minute talk is $130 million of airtime during the Super Bowl. What could you say in $130 million? And the average speaker speaks 142 words a minute.
As you know, at each Genius Network meeting, between 4 to 6 people have an opportunity to share an idea, a concept, a technique, an experience, or something of value to you in just 10 minutes. Business relationships and health have improved because of these 10-minute talks that have become a staple to our meetings. For the last 8 years, we've added an additional benefit to those 10-minute talks. As you've seen, Joel Weldon offers specific feedback to each of the speakers on what they did that was effective. Hopefully, this helps you as an audience member learn some great speaking techniques and concepts for when you communicate your ideas. This is an added value that Joel Weldon has been bringing to you as a member. Joel is not only part of our staff, he's a member just like you, who gives back by adding this extra service. Today is going to be a little different. He's going to give you a talk about giving 10-minute talks. The goal is simple, to encourage you to give a 10-minute talk. Yes, to step out of your comfort zone and share your wisdom with your fellow members. Some of the best 10-minute talks have been delivered by people who are not speakers, who don't use speaking as a way to grow their business, but they were willing to step out of their comfort zone for 10 minutes and share an idea of value with their fellow members. You can do the same. Joel's title is How to Give a 10-Minute Talk at Genius Network. Give it up for Joel Weldon.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Well, why aren't you here instead of me? We could be talking about, I got $100 million cut off my legs. I mean, you could do, what subject could we talk about? How many of you have given a 10-minute talk? Look around the room. Oh, no. Raise your hands on screen. And Gina, would you put up our first slide and our title? So one of the things you need to think of, should you be giving a 10-minute talk? And we're going to talk about simple ideas on why you should do it, what you should say, how to do it, and when you do it. So let's start with the why. The why. Why should you do it? Well, you're smart. You're a genius. You're part of this group. You know great things, and you have wonderful ideas that can help your fellow members. And because of that, you're going to become better known. When you give a 10-minute talk, you get exposure to the group and you get connections, which is the whole purpose of being here. Plus, you're going to learn a new skill. This is very different than the kind of speaking that you've probably done. So what do you talk about? Well, this is the challenge people have because you have so much information. So I came up with 6 criteria, and as Joe said, I'm not part of Genius Network other than a member, so this is not official policy, a suggestion. Number 1, it should be relevant to the audience, which are your fellow members. It should be helpful to them. It should be something of interest and interesting, timely, and Gordy, is this a timely subject in what he's talking about? What's happening around the world with our money? It should be challenging, and it should be valuable. Joe says $250,000 idea. I would suggest if you meet 4 of those 6 words, you've got a 10-minute talk. Relevant, helpful, interesting, timely, challenging, and valuable. So how do you do it? I mean, you got 10 minutes. When you think of 10 minutes, I said yesterday 6 words when I was virtual. These are words you'll never hear. These words you will never hear. And what are those words? Talk as long as you want. No one, I've been speaking since 1974 professionally, 3,000 paid talks. Nobody ever said, talk as long as you want. You got an hour, a half hour. So let's put 10 minutes into perspective for you. Super Bowl commercial time. How many watch the Super Bowl? All right. 60-second commercial sold for $6.5 million. Times that by 20, that means a 10-minute talk is $130 million of airtime during the Super Bowl. What could you say in $130 million? And the average speaker speaks 142 words a minute. So do the math. Now, where's my math guy here? Okay, Neil, you've been talking about numbers all day. Quickly, that's all right. That's 1,420 words. Did anybody say the Lord's Prayer this morning? It's 66 words. The Lord's Prayer. Gettysburg Address, 272. John F. Kennedy's famous inaugural address that's still used since 1961. Under that number, 1,300 plus words. And we still use that today as an example of a great presentation. So you need a single point. You need something that can be summed up in 1, 2, 3, or 4 words, short and snappy. Then I call it the golden thread. What are you going to talk about in one sentence? And then you could support that with many other sub-points. You could have 3 points or 5 points. You could have 10 points, but one main golden thread. So you got into it by giving up your legs for $100 million. We're going to do a funding, and we'll see what we can come up with the money, and next we'll do the operation right here. I mean, that would be terrific. All right, but let's say if that's the talk, I gave up my legs for $100 million. That would be the golden thread. So you can talk about that. Ask me what makes a great talk, 10-minute talk. What makes a great 10-minute? That's a great question. And as you're listening, one word.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
Results. Was Gordy's a great talk? I don't know. What are you going to do about your financial well-being if we go into a worldwide global recession? If you do nothing, it doesn't matter how good his visuals were, it doesn't matter how impacting his stories were. If you don't do anything about it, it doesn't mean anything. James, when you gave that talk, which was terrific, does this bring you joy? That was the first thing people were talking about when I was down this morning at breakfast. That's a result. So that's what works. What will the audience do based on your call to action? Every message needs a call to action. And there's 3 things in a call to action. What you will do, what you will think, or what you will feel, or it could be all 3 of them. So I went through just recently some memorable examples of 10-minute talks that had a single focus. Eunice likes it to be very clear and also memorable. So just going back 1 year. John Checky, I know you're on the screen, but yours is one of them because what John talked about was ice baths and Wim Hof. And as a result, over this time, so many people have been doing this. Sachin Patel, Dr. Sachin, do you remember that talk that you are your own doctor? How you can believe your own doctor, how you can heal yourself. As a result of that talk, people have been doing it. We had another book today with Susan talking about a book. Alinka talked about the book too, How to Get a Best-Selling Book. Just some examples from last year. There's 48 talks a year. We got 8 meetings, 6 talks, 48. You should be in that 48. Let's talk about some this year. Steve Sims. Do you remember that talk and talking about the statue of David? And his call to action was 2 words.
Just ask.
What was that?
Just
ask. How did that happen? Because it was such a clear, simple message. 2 words. Just ask. That's what you need in your talk. Rajan talked about what? Anybody remember?
Flying privately.
Flying privately. 2 words. Mark talked about raw land. Simple thing. The value of raw land. And this man, that is you. Right there. What were those 5 words? Does this bring you joy? Clear, simple. Joe, I don't know if you remember this speaker, Cherie talked about speed healing and how you can accelerate that. Yesterday, Scott, you talked about one word, onboarding. Simple, clear, and then he came up with those 3 words, stay, pay, and refer. What do you want to be happening? He then gave you 3 other words that all had a similar expression in them based on this spelling. Simple, clear, very powerful clear to action we saw yesterday. When you get to the close and you're telling people what you want them to do, the mindset should be of your audience, I can do that. Did Gordy say something that your mind said, well, I can do that? Did Susan Gilbert say that today in the book? Oh, I can do that. Daniel talked about that, about how we can embrace discomfort. And then he gave us some of the secrets that he used that helped him do that. And he told you about the butterflies. He told you about coaching yourself. And then the one that developed the most discussion I saw online and in the room was that somebody believed in me. And there was lots of discussion of that. And after his talk, those things started to appear in there. And this young lady sitting over here, right in front of me, talked about the rabbit hole, which we've been using today just before my presentation. So I think it's important. You spoke to us, you knew where we were, and as a result, it was so clear. And then she said, now what? Now what? A 10-minute talk can be a domino for you. A domino. We know what that is. Once it starts, it continues. Ben Hardy, would you please stand up? Oh, there you are. I was looking for you. Come on over here. Ben Hardy came to his first meeting. He was 29 years old. He was 2 years into his doctorate program. He was still in school. And you came here in September?
Yes.
Is that right? In 2017?
Yes.
And 2 months later, he was on the main stage at the annual event. And the dominoes began falling. He already had joined the 100K club right after the 25K. He has written, how many books did you tell us yesterday?
7 or 8.
7 or 8 books. A member of this, all because of that one talk. He hadn't even come to a meeting when we got on the phone and talked about that wonderful message. And I told you I should be at the annual. And you know, I've got 100 people wanting to get it. There's no way. Don't even think about it. Why did you put them on the annual event? Because of that 10-minute talk.
And because of you.
No, because of him, not because of me. So think about that. What are you going to do? When? That's the last word. How about right now? Be that domino. Decide to give your 10-minute talk, and then become a Ben Hardy. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. You're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.